Today's postcard is from a Sussex resort. Not Brighton, but Hove, actually.
Hove has long been overshadowed by its Sussex seaside partner Brighton, but its separate identity has been kept alive by the Sussex County Cricket Club, who play their home matches here. And the local council is called Brighton and Hove, and the football club Brighton and Hove Albion. Let's go and explore this little town.
Nothing like, quite like the British seaside in autumn. And this is an early October morning. Look at the English Channel there. Absolutely fierce and furious. And the wind is blowing blustery. Breathe in that fresh air. Oh, look at these old beach huts. They've been blown off their hinges and little planks. And that's only October. Goodness knows what they'll look like by January. A real good old British institution, these. Little beach huts where people come enjoy the summer's days. If they went in those today, you might not ever see them ever again. It would be like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. They'll be blown up into the sky. Because what's interesting about these, it's just along the road of Brighton that really seaside resorts became fashionable through the Prince Regent. And have you ever seen pictures of those little machines that used to go down to the beach on wheels? And then obviously you could protect a lady's modesty because you could go into one of these, but they'll be pushed down to the seafront on these little wheels, and she'll be able to come down daintily in her bathing bell outfit, go straight into the sea, come straight back into her little wheelie hut, and she can keep all of her bits covered and not be seen by prying eyes. It's a little bit different now, of course, because along this stretch of the coast, I believe there are nudist beaches in Brighton. No modesty there, my dear. The little boats of Hove. I never thought of Hove as a fishing place, but I suppose it must have been in olden times. And here's the fresh fish. Dover sole, cod fillet, whole codlings, plaice, huss, another word for rock salmon, my favourite, and skate, my favourite too. I think it's time to go a little bit inland. I think the cobwebs have definitely gone now. I can't believe it. I don't know if you can see his little green sail out there. You know, someone's actually windsurfing in this. Bloomin' heck. He still stood standing. Now, this is the Jaipur Gate, and it was carved by the people of Rajasthan and presented over to this country for the India and Colonial Exhibition in South Kensington in 1886. And it was re-erected here in Hove, Sussex in 1926. Now, I've asked around and asked why Hove, and no one knows actually. Still nice. Like the new hairdo. Well, actually, it's not a wig, but it's the work of Tadek Buklich. I think I've said that right, because he was born in Poland in 1922. And what I will say right is Ditchling, because he lived in Ditchling, a little Sussex village just up the road from Hove. And now all of his work is displayed here in Hove Museum, which is a museum not just for history, but for work of contemporary artists. And you don't get more contemporary than this. There's some very strange things around here, but very interesting. I think he's moved to Folkestone now. I think he still forgot to take his wig.
Hove Museum and Art Gallery is one of those postcard surprises, and it's full of them.
Now here's a fine example of Chelsea pottery. This little dish. It was painted in enamel colours around about 1755. And Chelsea pottery was near the Physic Garden.
And that's why you have such an influence of floral patterns and things, because of course it's a very important botanical garden. I'm not having a cup of tea, actually. I'm just trying to be like Lady Rebecca Herbert, very refined. That's her husband. That's the 16th Baron Abergavenny. Abergavenny. Do you remember Marty Wilde, actually? The song about that, taking a trip up to Abergavenny. Well, I've come to Hove, and they're here in the tea room of Hove Museum, where they're on loan. I suppose they'll be going back to Abergavenny and Monmouthshire pretty soon. Oh, and his name, by the way, real name, is William Neville.
They've even got a kiddies bit. Ah.
Oh, look, those little tiny lights all come on there in this doll's house. I'm always fascinated by children's toys and things. The only thing I ever had was a motor car racing set. I remember that. One Christmas.
Did you know that Hove was a centre of fantasy for adults?
You know, I didn't know that Hove was one of the centres of the British movie industry. Well, when I say centres, did you know that Hove had one of the very first studios in filmmaking in this country? And they were making films here in the 1890s. And here are the plans of one of the studios, Wilbury Road in Hove, where they could actually do their filmmaking. I find this quite incredible. And here we've got some of the earliest films shot here in Hove. Quite amazing.
Now here are some of the famous celebrities, royals, Hollywood stars, famous engineers, all who have links with Hove. When Brighton was beginning to boom in the 18th century, Hove was left behind. And Hove became a centre for smuggling. Now I'm in St Andrew's Church, and St Andrew's Church is where most of the contraband was stored, either in the churchyard here, or there was one instance where the vicar came to preach a service and his colleague said, "I'm sorry, you can't preach in the church today because the church is full of tubs and the pulpit is full of tea." It's also said that there was, leading from the seafront right the way down there, a tunnel which led from the sea into the church. And most of the contraband and the booty came from Ostend and some of the smaller French towns along the coast.
Yeah, all right. I know Ostend's in Belgium.
Well, I'm up here in Cliftonville, which was one of the original parts of Hove. They've now, of course, joined together. And I'm standing outside a pub, which is the longest pub name in the country, or one of them. I always hate to say it is the longest because things could have changed. Bertie Belcher's Brighton Brewery Company at the Hedgehog and Hogshead. It's in Hove, actually. Well, I suppose we could be a little bit more pedantic and say it's in Cliftonville, actually. Now, this Hove actually comes from the fact that when people are asked where they come from, "Oh, you come from Brighton, don't you?" And the reply is, "No, Hove, actually."